Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast, the number one source for news, analysis, and discussion on the Detroit Red Wings, the NHL, and all things hockey. Here are your hosts, Ryan Hanna, Brad Crisco, and Evan Lopsinger.
We really are sick in the head. That's a great way to open our last ever episode in this studio before we move.
Whoa, we're moving? Where are we going?
NASA, Evan. What are you trying to dox me right off the hop? Good Lord.
Got some bunk beds in there for me and Brad?
Yeah. Who's getting top bunk?
Dibs.
You want Brad above you?
Well, in theory, Brad weighs less, so when he falls off the top, it won't hurt as bad if it was me.
That's a great
That's
point.
fine.
Evan's already practicing his like completely vertical kick to the mattress above.
Yeah, Brad snores just a kidney punch through the mattress.
The dogs would love it. The dogs love you guys. But what we don't love is the draft lottery. And here we are every year doing a live stream, recapping it, recording an episode at the crack of dawn. We're sick in the head. Like, we are absolute sickos, but not in like a cool way. Like, oh, haha, we're sickos.
Mysterious with a leather jacket.
No, we're just dumb.
Yeah, we've got a trench coat and a pet iguana. Sorry to those who have pet iguanas and trench coats.
Oh, I didn't know you meant a literal iguana, honestly.
Okay.
I thought this was like, what a great start. Right off the rip, we got pet iguana. This is what the draft lottery does to people. Do you like this, Gary Bettman? Do you like what you're seeing here? You sicko. Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. The Red Wings moved down in the lottery again. What else is new? I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Hanna.
I'm Brad Crisco.
And I'm Evan.
In this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast, we are going to begrudgingly talk about the NHL Draft Lottery and how Detroit has continued their trend of either completely getting screwed or having absolutely no luck at all. How the lottery shook out, who the lucky winners were. Oh, what are the chances for them compared to Detroit, how they moved up, how this affected Detroit, thoughts and feelings on the whole thing, and more. And then, you know what? It can't all be misery and despair. We're going to do a mock draft. First one of this draft season. We are going to do a post-draft lottery mock draft between the three of us. And then we're going to get into NHL news, playoff updates, anything else in the Red Wings, and more before we jump into overtime. Before all that, the Winged Wheel Podcast is primarily supported by our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/Winged Wheel Podcast. If you want to support the show, you get access to our bonus overtime episodes. If you thought Evan talking about a pet iguana was good, you should tune into the bonus episodes. It's really no holds barred in that one. So you get access to those. We answer any questions that didn't make the main show as well. It's a good time. You also get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord, and additionally, you're automatically entered into all of our giveaways. In season, we give away 2 tickets to every Detroit Red Wings home game going directly to our Patreon supporters. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up in the offseason as well. So again, patreon.com/Winged Wheel Podcast. The Red Wings odds coming into this 2025 NHL Draft Lottery were 12th best in the league. They had a 5.3% chance, give or take, of second overall. That was the maximum they could get. There are these like minuscule, odd, very specific scenarios where they can get third or fourth, but we're talking like less or around 0.1%. They were most likely to get 12th overall, 85.7%. That's an A plus, depending on the prof. 8.9% chance of moving down 1 spot to 13th, and about a 0.2% chance of moving down 2 spots to 14th. San Jose, Chicago, Nashville had the top 3 odds in this lottery draw. The first draw ended up being the New York Islanders from 2 spots ahead of the Red Wings, so they move up to first. First overall for them, shades of the John Tavares era. Who's going to save this team? How are they going to get attention back on Long Island? There you go. You get a Schaefer or a Misa. Congratulations, Long Island. You fire Lou Lamoriello and a good thing happens to you immediately.
That's the universe telling you something.
What is it telling you there? Oh, about Lamoriello. Yeah. There you go. Now
We'll be able to play there for 5 to 8 years because of all the long-term contracts.
Oh, is that what Ken Holland's going to hand out when he goes over there?
That's disturbing. I haven't thought about that yet.
The Islanders reporters are reporting he's the front runner right now.
Why can't you just retire?
Oh,
Go golf somewhere.
Dude, talk about sickos. Ken Holland, and I say this like complimentary. Ken Holland is a sicko for hockey.
You have to be.
You know how we need to like have a budget for zip ties to keep this guy on my left from signing up for more hockey in his life because he's so addicted to it? Ken Holland's the GM version of that.
Yes. Something just came across my desk. It's the Long Island GM job. And his wife's like, please, no more.
Hey, that could be a win-win for Detroit. On the one hand, we do genuinely love Ken Holland, and if he wants to keep doing it, we're happy to see him continue to do it if that makes him happy. Two, he hasn't been a good hockey executive for a while, so him coming into the Eastern Conference to run a team is beneficial for the Red Wings.
And if it's like a Ken Holland, Ryan Martin thing, president of Hockey Ops, GM, then maybe it looks a bit different because you know what? For an organization that may be out of sorts, his institutional knowledge would be beneficial.
If Ryan Martin's coming with him, they're drafting Porter Martone first overall. You know that, right?
And then trading for Michael Rasmussen?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Like I said, win-win.
Shocks everyone. San Jose, Chicago, Nashville, Philly, Boston, Seattle, Buffalo, Anaheim, Pittsburgh, all ahead of the Islanders, and they get pushed down a spot. And I was like, okay, you know what? Kind of annoying that yet another long shot team wins it, and it's not Detroit, but whatever. The second set of lottery balls get drawn, and we'll talk about how the lottery balls worked in a second here. And from behind Detroit, the Utah, soon-to-be-named Mammoth, move up from 14th to 4. They don't even get second overall. Detroit gets pushed down a spot for a team that didn't even get second overall. They were so far down the order, they were only eligible for 4th overall. They don't even get Schaefer or Misa. They were third last in the lottery standings. They had a 3.1% chance of winning the draw for fake second overall. For them, it was 4th. And Detroit moves down from 12th best odds to the 13th overall draft pick. Because Utah, from downtown, drains it.
You want to know how many more points the Islanders had than San Jose? 30.
Oh, cool. That's very cool. Teams work for years to get 15 more wins. Years.
San Jose might be more than years.
There's like, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and complain about, 5.3% chance that should have been Detroit. No. However many ways you can have a proverbial slap in the face, that's what Red Wings fans have had over the years. Since 2017, I'm going to read out some results for you. In 2017, they moved down from the 7th best odds to 9th pick. They dropped 2 spots. And they were already preemptively bumped down 1 because that was a Vegas expansion year. That's -2. 2018, they dropped another spot from 5 to 6. That's -3. 2019, they dropped 2 spots from 4th to 6th. That's -5. 2020, they dropped from the top odds to win the lottery from 1st to 4th. That's -8. 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024, they stayed even, except in 2021, that was the Seattle expansion year, so they were preemptively moved down a spot. And then this year, they dropped another one. That's 9 spots in 9 years, plus another 2 arbitrary spots because of expansion that pushed them down the draft order, which affects, I understand, everyone below those teams. 9 spots in 9 years. They never once moved up. In that span, they haven't made the playoffs. I believe that they're the only team in that situation. You looked it up before the show, Brad. They are tied with the Sens for most spots dropped.
Yeah, they are tied with 9 with the Ottawa Senators for cumulative spots lost in the draft lottery era. And that one of those points that Ottawa gets for dropping is from 2011. So, and again, that's not factoring in the expansion. I know it's become a meme that how much Red Wings fans complain about the draft lottery. And everybody's right to point it out that we never stop whining about it. But we have every right to whine about it because nobody has gotten screwed more than us. Full stop. Because I've seen people in my mentions going, bro, you only dropped from 12 to 13. It's basically the same pick, which objectively in terms of value, yes, the difference there is negligible. You still would prefer to have 1 spot more because if you're down to 2 guys at that point, you'd rather call your shot. than be forced to pick whatever else is there. Fair, totally fair. It's the summation of it all that is frustrating. We're 9 years into a playoff drought, have not moved up in the draft lottery, have not won a draft lottery, have gotten bumped down more than anybody else. Like, I don't think this is rigged. I'm not one of the conspiracy theorists here saying, oh, New York team moved up, how coincidental, the new franchise. The NHL literally sacrificed entertainment value in their draft lottery to show the legitimacy of it and actually have the lottery ball drawing live, which I can respect on some level, to show that it's not rigged. I think it just highlighted a terrible system. It's not a Gary Bettman master plan. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's an awful, awful plan that they continue to force. And for a handful of teams, and it's not just the Red Wings, other teams are getting screwed by this consistently.
Ottawa, Vancouver.
Yeah, Ottawa and Vancouver being the next two obvious examples. Like, it just continues to highlight what a stupid, stupid system this is.
So Brad alluded to the way they drew it was different, because in the past, what they would do is the exact same thing that they showed on TV, but they would just do it in a sequestered room, no devices, with representatives from each team to audit visually the process. Teams are assigned 4 number combinations. There are lottery balls numbered 1 to 14. So each team is assigned some combination of, numbers or balls numbered 1 to 14. And it doesn't matter what order they come out in, just whatever combination of those 4 numbers, you own that. And so they have, the NHL published a list of, all of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sequences. And each team was assigned a proportional amount of sequences based on their odds. So Detroit had, on the lower end of odds, they had 25 sequences that would have been winning for them. And so the order the balls came out on TV didn't effectively matter. It just mattered the set of 4 at the end. And by the time the third ball was drawn for the second lottery, Detroit was already, they didn't have any combinations left because the number 12 came out and they didn't have the number 12 in any of their remaining alive combinations. The winning combination that put Utah up and dropped the Red Wings down in order of smallest to largest digit, I'm just going to read it out that way. This isn't the way it came out on TV, but just for dramatic effect here. 1, 3, 5, 12. Those are the 4 numbers that won Utah the 4th overall pick from 14th best odds. The 4-digit combination that would have won Detroit 2nd overall and one of Schaefer or Misa, 1, 3, 5, 11. Isn't that some shit?
Like, you got to laugh so you don't cry.
And it doesn't matter whether it was 11 or 12. Like, the number being one off is nothing other than the biggest mental middle finger from the hockey gods to Red Wings fans, because it could have been the infinity symbol. It doesn't matter. It was just a different lottery ball. I understand how it works in that lottery ball machine, but it's just, how can you make this more painful for Red Wings fans? And they find fresh new ways to insult us. And you know what, Evan? I'm sorry to throw you and I under the bus. This is our fault.
Oh, it's our fault.
It's our fault, because I think it was the Lafreniere year where we were talking about how they zoomed in on the Toronto lottery ball, almost getting, and you and I were talking about that and laughing about that. We were like, oh, haha, thank goodness that didn't happen. Or
we got to go back and look for that Red Wings, the final ball. Where was it?
I honestly don't think I have the mental capacity. It's been we're moving. The dog's been sick. Look at me, I'm unkempt. I think I would have a mental break, and then you'd have 2 Brads at this table. Do you want that?
No, we're already over our quota.
We are over our quota. Then we're going to have a triple bunk bed, and you have to punch real high for the second kidney shot. It's, again, the math of this, the effect of this, it's small. We are whining. It is just us being babies about this. Oh, 12th to 13th. What does it matter? The 4th overall pick going to the West now, what does it matter? But I'm not going to sit here and agree with everyone from the outside saying, oh, Red Wings fans should, this is just the way the cards go. No Red Wings fans should be happy about this. It sucks. It has sucked. It's continued to suck. Is it just the long odds? Yeah, sure. Does it make it suck less?
Well, it's long odds this year. They have been right in the mix with high odds many, many times, and it still didn't shake out Detroit's way. I sent out a tweet, and I did not verify the math, but like I said, I'd be curious to know the odds of how many spots the Red Wings have cumulatively fallen. And then I joked, actually, no, I don't. And some people did the math in varying degrees of what the odds of this happening to Detroit were, but they were all sub 1%. So we couldn't hit the 1 in 5 chance of moving up we had some years, but no, the sub 1% to continue to fall time and time again. Yeah, that's the one that hits.
I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is for what the NHL should do. Because, like, you remove all bias from it. And you're like, yeah, okay, the way they changed the system does inherently do some things to prevent, like, the Senators of the past or the Rangers of the past or whatever it is. But it doesn't help what was affecting the Red Wings for the last 9 years.
I still have not heard a good argument for why the NHL shouldn't just use the gold plan for draft order. The PWHL adopted it. Like, and obviously they're still such a small league in terms of number of teams that it's not going to be super relevant for a couple more years, but they're doing it.
And I'd be curious how that would have shook out this year.
Detroit would have picked right around the same spot. Like, I know
they were eliminated too late.
Yeah, which is fine. Like, that's how it should work. The teams that get eliminated in the last week should be picking between like 12 and 16 because you're right there. You're an okay team.
You mean the team with 89 points shouldn't move up 10 spots?
Yeah, no, that feels bad.
With that, that would have put them real close to Montreal to make the playoffs.
God.
Actually, if they would have got one of those wins against Montreal, they may have even tied and won the tiebreaker and would have played Washington in the first round.
The irony of this all is like, okay, what's the worst year? The year they went from 1 to 4. Great. That actually might have been a blessing. Definitely was a blessing because they went from Lafreniere to Lucas Raymond. And Lucas Raymond is in conversations for being the best pick in that draft, and it's not with Lafreniere, and it's not with Quentin Byfield. And Quentin Byfield's been a lot better, too, than what he started out as.
2017 still stings in a lot of ways.
Oh, man.
Dropping 2 spots plus the 3rd spot due to Vegas, and then looking who was picked immediately after Rasmussen. I think that was the hockey god saying, you had your chance, you blew it. We're not helping you out anymore.
They're gone, though. The size draft people are gone now. We've paid our dues. Have we not paid our dues? Yeah, Michael Rasmussen 9. After that, Owen Tippett, Gabe Velarde, Martin Necas, Nick Suzuki. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Okay. The draft lottery is what it is, and unfortunate though it may be for the Red Wings, it's still mathematically what we expected, what we knew emotionally was going to happen. It just happened as usual in a way that was even worse than we always expected. So the order now is the Islanders, the Sharks, the Blackhawks, the Mammoth / Utah HCs, Nashville, Philly, Boston, Seattle, Buffalo, Anaheim, Pittsburgh, the Rangers, Detroit at 13, Columbus, Vancouver, Montreal, Calgary, etc. That is the results of the NHL Draft Lottery. I hate it. I want it to die. It's stupid. Nothing is good in this world. We'll see you next year.
God, I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not too. I hope we're just doing, like I said to Evan on the live stream, I hope we're just doing it as like a purely out of interest live stream. Like we're just hanging out. We just show up. We start the live stream plastered.
Same place, same time.
No, not same place, Evan. This is the last one.
We've got a bottle of champagne on reserve for the first time we don't have to care. We pop it on the live stream.
The Red Wings should send us to be their representatives.
Somehow, even though there's 2 draws, the Red Wings moved down 5 spots. Okay, let's get into our mock draft. We'll start this one off here. Exercise in futility, but because we always know it's going to be Brad who's going to draft for the Red Wings. But you want to do a rock, paper, scissors right in front of us here?
I always take rock, by the way.
Okay, I'll take.
You guys can pick first. I don't care.
Well, you and I can play rock, paper, scissors.
Are you gaming,
Ryan?
I actually don't know the math.
Brad's moving down 2 spots to 3rd.
Give me 2 or 3. I don't care.
Brad picks first, Evan picks second, I pick third. That's the order.
All right.
Oh, I really wanted that first pick.
Did you actually?
Yeah, not the. We're gonna do 17 of these.
Well, I typed it into my spreadsheet here as you going number one, Evan, actually.
Oh, so I am going number
yeah,
one.
so you'll go number one.
Yeah, no, he did the math and realized that me going number one would have given me Detroit, so he had to switch that up.
Didn't even do that math.
I didn't do that math either.
It's far too early for that math. So, Evan, for the New York Islanders, I think I usually give you a hard time, but this year I'll give you a toss-up. Although, we're going to see fence-sitting Evan in prime form here because the Islanders are going to have a pick between Schaefer and Misa.
And I'm also going to throw a wrench in after his pick with this Islanders pick.
Oh, okay.
Oh, if Brad. Oh, we're allowed to do our chaos picks the first draft.
No, I'm going to give you something to consider that I think Chris Peters brought up, which I thought was an excellent point.
Okay. Am I going? Am I on the clock?
You're picking.
You're on the clock.
Okay. I will not do my chaos theory this draft. I will just purely take Matthew Schaefer.
All right.
I think the Islanders, they've got Cal Ritchie, they've got Cole Yzerman. They need some defensive prospects, and I think Matthew Schaefer will be the guy they take. We've talked about him a lifetime ago when we started the prospect profiles. He's a dynamic, excellent skater. We noticed how much Canada's World Junior team lost its identity when he went out with a broken collarbone. I think they'll take him number one.
Do we revisit how he broke his collarbone in the World Juniors?
Yeah, someone put a net in front of him. I don't know why they did that.
It's like when you run into a doorway that's been there the whole time. You're like, who put that there?
No, and the Islanders' defense prospects are pitiful.
I can't even think of one.
Yeah, Schaefer's the absolute logical pick there. But the Tavares situation with the Islanders, I think, throws a wrench in this because they had this franchise player, first overall, superstar, would not sign with them. Islanders fans are still absolutely bitter about it. There is a top prospect in this draft who was born on Long Island, grew up in Long Island.
Well, Brad's really taking
Islanders
my chaos
fan.
theory.
So very likely, if you draft him to be a lifelong Islanders, James Hagens.
Okay, I guess I'll just...
Do you think Hagens could go to the Islanders?
I'm wondering if there's some validity to the pain of the Tavares thing that they might take someone that will be very, very excited and loyal to the organization. They could be a trade back candidate too, right?
Yeah.
Someone from 2 or 3 wants to jump up to take the defenseman.
If I'm Chicago, I am all over that.
Oh, 1,000%.
To take a defenseman?
Chicago could take a lot of things. I think Misa actually would be the best case scenario for Chicago.
Because they took Lashunov last year, right?
I think if they could get up to take Misa to have a running mate for Bedard would be their best case scenario. A running mate with at least a little bit of size too. But yeah, I'm curious. I think the Islanders could do a lot of things here, and I think because of all the local ties, Hagens would be appealing to them, which maybe kinda in a small way throws a wrench into this because when you look at their system, Schaefer's the pick all day. So I don't know, a little bit of chaos theory.
That is. You know what?
It took every fiber of my being not to take James Hagens.
I'm proud of you. I don't know why you would show that restraint. I don't see the value in it. It's not exactly been the most reined-in show ever, but good for you. All right, Brad, for the San Jose Sharks, who aren't gifted the first overall pick, but this team is going to be so filthy.
Yeah.
Who are the San Jose Sharks going to take second overall to add to Celebrini and Smith and everything else they have going for that team?
Michael Misa. They're pretty well stocked everywhere in the pipeline. Take best player available. They have a lot of small forwards, so I think Misa adds a bit of a dimension there that they don't have. A lot of their high-end forward prospects, there's questions if they're center or wing, and to be fair to some people, Misa still has that question. I think he's a center all day, but Michael Misa, the rich get richer in terms of prospects.
Speaking of the rich get richer, it might be a little bit rich to say it because Chicago has been bad, but in terms of everything they have going for them, one, Evan was right earlier, like the Blackhawks are not going to go defense here, most likely. And they're going to have an opportunity to add Porter Martone, who is a combination of it seems like everything that they need to add to their forward group, maybe alongside Connor Bedard, skill, someone who can play at the level that Connor Bedard plays, but also has the size and the physicality and whatever a modern version of a power forward is. Porter Martone has all the tools to potentially be that if it still exists in the game. Just to in a lot of other drafts, like if you think of a weaker draft, Porter Martone is scaring first overall if it's like a Slavkovsky year, for example. So Chicago's thrilled with that results after not winning either lottery draw and still getting Martone. You could be in a way worse spot. So that's who Chicago will take.
I'm super curious what Chicago's going to do here if Meese and Schaefer do go 1-2, because they are one of the many teams that has the forward issue where it's a lot of small, skilled forwards and some size makes a lot of sense for them. But historically, they have tended to avoid prospects with pace issues in the draft. That seems to be their big red flag. And that is Martone's biggest question mark. Is he going to be able to play at NHL pace? Because again, the theory of Porter Martone makes a lot of sense for Chicago. He's some size. He's got a wicked shot. He's secondary goal scoring behind Bedard. Like, it all makes sense in theory, but he seems to strike me as the type that Chicago would avoid. I don't think they would go Hagens again, because how many small forwards can you have? I don't buy into that theory, but the NHL absolutely does. So you would wonder about that. I honestly think they would probably take a long, hard look at Desnoyers here.
Whoa.
I think they would take a long, hard look at Desnoyers here.
I just think the skill level is a lot to avoid. I don't think Desnoyers is like so far off actually where it's insane, but
I actually have Desnoyers ahead of Martone in my rankings.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I actually have the QMJHL as a do not draft.
That's a man who's been hurt before.
I will not draft him. I'm sorry.
Actually, just looking at my rankings, my 13th is someone from the Q, so that could get interesting.
If Ken Holland took that lesson, any one of like 3 or 4 different points in his life, both the Red Wings and the Oilers would be a lot happier for it.
Didn't even outscore Lafreniere in his draft year. Not interested. Soft league.
All right, so I went Martone. Utah, who are they going to take with their lucky 4th overall?
The way things have sort of shaped out right now, I think they will be extremely happy drafting James Hagens. You know, people say undersized center. I don't really care because he's a point per game player as a freshman in the NCAA. He was unreal at the World Juniors, obviously had a great year in Boston. They'll be thrilled to add him to their center depth.
I mean, 2 of his most comparable players are Clayton Keller and Logan Cooley. So if it's working for Utah, I don't think they'd be hesitant here. Again, it seems like the theme, how many small forwards can you have? But, I mean, Utah's got a gigantic defense group, so they might be going with the Tampa model, which is always my argument for you can't win with too many small forwards, because Tampa did back-to-back. But, yeah, that's tremendous value there. I know Hagens has been falling on a lot of boards, but track record matters, and he's got a long, successful one relative to the age.
All right, so 4th overall is James Hagens to Utah. 5th overall, Brad for Nashville. Who are they going to take?
I think they are going to take Caleb Desnoyers.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think if there's a guy, perfect type of prospect to learn from Ryan O'Reilly, Desnoyers might be that guy. A lot of similar traits, but I think Desnoyers actually is faster and plays with better pace. And it has all the same intangibles, so that would be the perfect mentor. I really love the player. Like, he is arguably the most well-rounded forward in this draft because he gives you every dimension. The question is just what is the actual upside of those dimensions? I tend to fall on the side of it's a little higher than people are giving him credit for. I know it's the Q, but he's the leading scorer by a comfortable margin on the team that's likely going to win the championship as a 17-year-old. Like, that's impressive and fairly rare. So I think Desnoyers is going to be an absolute stud, and I think Nashville would be thrilled to get him here.
Desnoyers to Nashville. Next one here is Philly, and you know what? If John Tortorella was still with the organization, I would say this might be where you see Brady Martin jump quite a bit, despite maybe some overall talent discrepancies here. But he's not, and I'm kind of just looking at who the most talented players left on the board are, and it's not so clear-cut. I wonder if you don't see the first reach here, but I'm going to go with the safe answer. It's early. I'm not going to overthink this. It's going to be Anton Frundell.
Yeah, that's like worst case scenario right now for me if I'm Boston.
Yeah, that's tough. If
the
you
way
see,
this is shook, I know people are probably like, oh, what about so-and-so? It's like, well, in my opinion right now, this is not working out well for Boston.
Well, if we want to keep the hot takery going, I think Philly is one of those teams that would be absolutely primed to reach for one of the defensemen. I would not be surprised if on draft day this is Mirka.
That's what. Oh, okay. I was thinking about defensemen for them as well. Yeah, Mirka.
He strikes me as a Philly guy.
And they have 3 first-round picks as well.
Yeah.
So maybe they're the team that's going to move up too. Like if someone wants to engage and move up and you have 3 first-round picks, I don't know. I understand teams are valuing the first-round picks appropriately. Maybe you go buck wild and see how high you can go and just overspend in terms of picks. But for now, just to keep this simple, Frundell is going to go 6th to Philly, 7th to Boston. Evan.
Yeah, so I was hoping to get Frundell there. Obviously, their center depth is a little bit lacking for Boston, but we got to pivot on the fly here, and we're going to take Jake O'Brien.
Yeah. And that's about right. Like, I know Red Wings fans, myself included, are kind of hoping for some luck here and O'Brien falling, but I just don't see it. Like, that
doesn't totally wow me in his skill factor, but he was just short of 100 points. He's got extremely good work ethic. I think Boston fans would love Jake O'Brien in their organization.
And let's call a spade a spade. A dude named O'Brien going
That's
to
true.
Boston.
Yeah.
He's instantly a fan favorite.
Yeah, he's not going to struggle there. All right. 8th to Seattle, Brad.
Oh, man. Seattle is probably going to be absolutely thrilled because they took Berkeley Catton last year and they're pretty well stocked at forward. So another team primed to grab a defenseman. My best player available here is a defenseman. Oh, and by the way, my best player available here right now plays for the Seattle Thunderbirds.
Right.
Radim Mirka.
Radim Mirka to Seattle, 8th overall. We did the Mirka profile pretty early on, actually, for Red Wings fans who want to remember. All right, I have us next here for the Buffalo Sabres. And with absolutely no confidence at all in my mind, I wonder if they're the team to take the gamble on Roger McQueen.
You really do just love taking all my picks, eh?
Yeah, well, because you tempted me and you said, I'm not going to tell you who I want to pick next. And I was like, I read your mind. I'm an Evan whisperer. I'm one of like 3 people on the planet who can interpret your subtle intonations and body movements. And you wanted Roger McQueen, and that's who I'm going to go with. And it is a risk, right? Like the book isn't out on McQueen. Teams, this all depends on their assessment of his health, how they think he can recover. Everyone's going to be pointing to Caden Lindstrom and other, probably in organization and back issues that other players have had. It's going to be scary.
One of the comparables for him that I've seen floating around is if everything goes absolutely perfect in his development, Tage Thompson.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this now. McQueen, maybe if teams believe in him, he won't fall to 13, so this might be irrelevant. But if you're a Red Wings fan and you want top 5 talent, top 6 talent, but lower down, McQueen is your best bet. But you pretty much, you have to try to know something that 12 other teams don't.
We talked about the Red Wings being a great landing spot for McQueen because they have such a loaded prospect system that they could afford to gamble on somebody like that. Buffalo's in the same boat. You can make the exact same argument for them.
10th, Anaheim, Evan.
Yeah, this is a team I was definitely struggling to figure out. They're super young. They've got lots of great prospects. Where do they go from here? But I think, in my opinion, instead of trying to fit a prospect to what their needs are, I think they're just going to take Victor Eklund.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And I've seen Eklund go pretty high on boards. I've seen Eklund go pretty low on boards. I'm interested to see where that actually lands. But
me too. He's got all the sort of traits you look for in a high-level NHL prospect. Like, he's got a great work ethic, doesn't shy away from the physicality, and can put up serious points. And we've seen that in the past season. So I think they'd be thrilled with taking him.
All right. Next up for Pittsburgh, Brad.
I am going to take this player here. I would be shocked if he was available and Pat Verbeek specifically didn't take him for Anaheim just because he seems like his type. And honestly, I've been diving into it for the last few days. I have seen the light. I am a believer. Brady Martin.
Welcome to the promised land, Brad. Evan and I have convinced you.
Yeah.
I have a hard time seeing him getting past Anaheim. That Brady Martin has Pat Verbeek written all over him.
He was part of my
Yeah.
the three that I was thinking for Anaheim.
Pat Verbeek's nickname as a player was the little ball of hate. Brady Martin might be the big ball of hate.
Speaking of falling down the order, I don't know necessarily that he's going to fall down this much, despite what your objective assessment of it is. Every time we do a mock draft, we're always super light on defensemen. Every real NHL draft, there is a run on defensemen. Defensemen rise in drafts. When GM panics, it's because defensemen are coming off the board. Think about when you do a fantasy hockey draft and someone takes a goalie at like 1.3 and you are in a snake draft like 2.9 and every single good goal in the NHL is gone before it gets to you. That's what happens with defensemen in the NHL draft. So whether or not it's the right choice for the New York Rangers at 12th, I'm going to take Jackson Smith of the Tri-City Americans. I honestly think they're going to, see a big puck-moving defenseman, and they're going to want to be all over that. And I don't know that he's actually going to fall that far necessarily. So I'll go with the Rangers, Jackson Smith. Potential to be a power play quarterback in the future. Big guy, plays physical. You look for those tools in a defenseman, and those are the ones who typically go high. All right, so those are the first 12 picks. The Red Wings are up next. We're going to take a quick break here first to hear from the sponsors of the Winged Wheel podcast. Detroit Red Wings pick after this. Technology was supposed to make our lives easier, so why does it feel like there's less time than ever? Between work, life, keeping tabs on how far down in the draft lottery Detroit's moving and what prospect they're going to pick at 13, figuring out what to eat becomes an afterthought. That's why we've been using Tempo, our new go-to for fast and fresh meals that don't make you feel like you just gave up on adulthood. Tempo is a weekly delivery service that delivers chef-crafted meals from a dietitian-approved menu fresh to your door. You pick from over 20 options each week, and every single one cooks in just 3 minutes, which is faster than most offside reviews. We especially love the tomato Asiago chicken. That one hit way above replacement level. And the tangy Baja citrus salmon and rice tasted like an actual home-cooked meal in just 3 minutes. No joke. Tempo serves up fast, feel-good, single-serving meals that are crafted to cook in just 3 minutes so you can eat well without sacrificing taste or convenience. They're made with real ingredients, are perfectly portioned, and actually make it easy to eat healthy without overthinking it, even during recording days or late-night post-game edits. For a limited time, Tempo is offering our listeners 60% off your first box. Go to tempomeals.com/wingedwheel. That's tempomeals.com/wingedwheel for 60% off your first box. tempomeals.com/wingedwheel. Rules and restrictions may apply. Welcome back. That was our best NHL impression. Going to break right before the juicy parts, but that's mostly just because I needed to catch up on my spreadsheet. The Red Wings, 13th overall, assuming everything stays the same. Evan, you have the honors this time around. Who are you taking for the Red Wings? But Brad and I will also give our picks as well. Yours makes the list.
Yeah, so if I'm the Red Wings, how the draft board has gone so far, I'm not a huge fan of it. I think in practice we'll see more defensemen go than how it's gone so far. But with all that being said, I don't like how the board's drafted out. I'm going to take Edvinsson. Maybe not the perfect pick, but being thin on the left side of D with a guy who brings an element this team is sorely lacking in terms of physicality. We don't need him to play the power play, even though he can produce. We just need him to come in, be a minute muncher, bring the physical element, and be a guy in the locker room. And I think he carries that in spades.
I love Edvinsson as a player. He is, in terms of what the Red Wings need, a great fit. Not just in terms of left D, but the style of defense he will bring. He's got some offense, a lot of physicality, a lot of compete, which are all excellent traits that the Red Wings need. I'm just not all the way there on the ultimate upside for 13th overall. On my list, I've got 3 players that I think have higher upside that I have ahead of him. So it's not like we're going way off the board here. This is right in the range.
I truly think he'll be off the board before the Red Wings pick in reality when the draft plays out.
He strikes me as a big Rangers guy.
Yeah.
So I'd be surprised if he got past them, if he did even get to them.
Yeah, Dolan's going to look at him saying no one's going to beat us up if he's up there on the ice.
Exactly. And he's one of my comparables for him is Braden Schneider, who the Rangers did already take. And I do think Edvinsson has more upside than Braden Schneider, so that will be appealing to a lot of teams. But yeah, it's a good pick. It's just not an exciting pick, if that makes sense.
Yeah, if they pick him in reality, I'll just be like, Okay.
Neat.
I like that. I won't be jumping all over the place, freaking out, but
As you usually are, right?
yes, yeah, I'm never stoic and level-headed. But I could.
Why are you level-headed?
I'm not.
Just because you say nothing doesn't make you level-headed. It's an NA. You did not participate.
I have no opinion on the matter one way or another.
I killed your train of thought. I don't know why I do this.
I don't even know what I was saying, so that's perfect.
Brad, you go ahead. Who's your pick for the Red Wings? I'm such a shitty friend.
You know me. I'm a big proponent of the Red Wings swinging on upside most years, but especially where they're sitting now, I think there's some risk here. Anybody who watched the live stream's not going to be surprised. This is Cole Reshny for me. I just think of all the players remaining on the board, his upside ceiling, we'll call it, is the highest. The only downside to him is quite literally that he's 5'10".
Which is a perfectly fine height. Just want to say.
He's a high compete player, 200-foot player, great playmaker, can score goals. Every team he's played on this year, whether it's the Canada at the U18s, Victoria in the WHL, has leaned on him heavily. He put up huge numbers in the WHL this year, and that's after what most people consider a very slow first half of the season for him, and he still broke 90 points. Like, the offensive hockey IQ here is exceptional. I mean it. If he was 6'2", this guy's a top 5 pick all day. But he's not, and we know how the NHL works. And I don't buy the Red Wings have too many small forwards, so you can't draft another one. Realistically, by the time a guy like Reshny got to the NHL, Patrick Kane's gone. DeBrincat's contract's up, so who knows if he'll be back. There is absolutely a place for him on this team. And again, you look at a Braden Point, a sub-6-foot center with good, not exceptional skating, but high compete, high hockey IQ, can absolutely work on a cup contending team. And I genuinely think there's a path for Reshny to be that guy.
I'm pretty sold on what you're talking about with Reshny for sure. And there's a few other guys in here who I do think, as now we know the Red Wings' definitive pick, we're going to be talking more about the players in Detroit's range that we haven't already talked about. We haven't talked about Carter Bear, as Evan mentioned. I think Justin Carbonneau deserves a lot of attention here. We're going to have to talk a lot more about, McQueen, even though we've already addressed him. There's guys in this range that are worth considering, and Reshny is absolutely one of them. I don't think this is like a Brad Flyer that he's insane to do. Like, this makes a lot of sense to me. As of right now, with this board in front of us, I'm going to, with an asterisk of, as the draft analysis continues, not just from everyone else, but from us as well, subject to change. But with this board, I'm going to also say Edvinsson. I don't disagree with what you're saying, Brad, but I just think with what Edvinsson directly addresses, the kind of game he plays, and I know it's not a sexy pick in terms of the super high offensive upside, but if you walk away with a minute-munching top 4 defenseman with pick 13th, that is objectively, by NHL standards, a phenomenal result. And you don't win cups and you don't build a complete team with, 20 sexy picks on your roster or whatever. You need guys who are going to eat minutes. You need guys who are going to make hard plays. You need guys where sometimes you're like, oh, I haven't really seen them do anything special for 5 or 6 games. And then you think about it, you're like, oh no, they've actually been extremely solid. And is Edvinsson a bolt-on to be that? No, you can't say that for sure, but the profile there fits, and I just caution against trying to conjure up upside at 13 where it may not be there. I think it probably is. I think Brad's probably right in that Reshny and others are there, but Edvinsson is not just safe. There's dynamic elements to his game that aren't the typical ones, like offense, the physicality, the motor, and he has I do think he has some headroom in terms of offensive production. So I'm going to say Edvinsson. I would not be surprised if my opinion changes, and I also would bet quite a bit of money that I no longer have that Edvinsson goes higher than this.
I mean, he did score 26 goals this year as a defenseman, but he is also a late birthday, so he's a 2006, so he's had that extra year in the OHL, so you would hope his numbers are a little bigger than the guys around him.
Yeah. All right, last 3 picks here because just for the sake of time. So again, Evan for the Red Wings took Edvinsson. Brad would go Reshny. I would probably go Edvinsson. Brad for Columbus, 14. Who are you taking?
Reshny. upside. Columbus, much like Detroit's in a position where they can absolutely afford to take a little bit of risk here and swing on a guy who could be a impact player for him.
All right. And for Vancouver, I'm going to go familiarity WHL Carter Bear for Vancouver from the Everett Silvertips at 15 overall. And again, we're going to be talking more about Carter Bear. Evan, for your favorite Montreal.
I am so mad I have this pick because it makes way too much sense, and I'm so
Oh my God, he's picking a Quebec player for the Quebec team.
I can't believe
the all-French pick for Evan.
This could not have turned out better.
God. We're going to trade the pick. We're trading the pick. We're not interested. We're trading the pick. We're bringing in Mitch Marner. He's now a Montreal Canadian.
Oh, and you know what? Mitch Marner is going to want to go from the crazy Toronto media to the
well, now he
won't
know what they're saying because it's all in French. So they'll just tell him it's all good things. But I can't believe I'm about to do this, but they're taking Justin Carbonneau. I hate myself so much. But it makes way too much sense. He's literally French.
Evan, who swore off the cue just 20 minutes ago, takes Justin Carbonneau.
I hate myself so bad.
For the French Canadians. Habs fans, you have an ally in Evan Lopsinger, who always says nice things about the French Canadians, the Montreal Canadiens, and the province of Quebec. Carbonneau's 16th to Montreal. Okay, in order. The Islanders take Schaefer, San Jose takes Misa, Chicago takes Martone, Hagens to Utah, Denoyer to Nashville, Frondell to Philly, O'Brien to Boston, Mertka to Seattle, McQueen to Buffalo, Anaheim takes Eklund, Brady Martin to Pittsburgh, Jackson Smith to the Rangers. Aitchison is the official pick to the Red Wings. I also say Aitchison. Brad says Reshny. Columbus takes Reshny. Vancouver takes Carter Bear. And Montreal takes the hometown kid, Justin Carbonneau. That is our first mock draft of the season. We're going to be doing more. Other ones will be full first-round mock drafts. For the sake of time here, we have to literally move the studio after this. And to talk about other things, we're going to leave that there. All right. Let's jump into the NHL. The playoffs. We talked last episode pre-Winnipeg St. Louis Game 7 about how crazy the Dallas-Colorado Game 7 was and that comeback. And could you imagine anything better? And what a performance by Rantanen and, you know, what a story. And then Winnipeg St. Louis has upstaged it somehow.
That was the craziest 26 hours I think I've ever seen in the first round of the NHL playoffs. The Rantanen game followed by that game. Like, if the NHL screws this up between the Four Nations, the Ovi goal chase...
Brad, I've got bad news for you.
I know, Evan, but I'm just saying the NHL has never had a run of outside hockey fans just coming in and going, oh my God, is this what it's like all the time? Where everybody should be screaming, yes. I mean, it's not, but yes, it is.
Then they watch the draft lottery.
Yeah.
Oy. The 1.6 seconds left on the board and everything that led up to that play. First off, great redirect in by Perfetti. But even going back to not the last person who touched the puck before Perfetti, the one before, Nikolai Ehlers, with seconds... Future Red Wing, with seconds left in potentially the Winnipeg Jets President's Trophy winning season, makes with a fraction of a second to think, slap pass across the ice to the right boards.
After he fanned on a...
Yeah. Don't worry about all of that. The presence of mind and the execution after he messed up a play just prior, unbelievable.
The whole... everything. Like, former Red Wing, Vladimir Mesnikov scoring with under 2 minutes left. Like, there was 2 minutes left in the game, and the Jets were down by 2 in a Game 7. Which, all the way, crazy stat, only 5 teams have ever overcome a 2-goal third-period deficit to win a Game 7. 2 of them were this weekend. And, yeah, like, the presence of mind, and even Kyle Connor there to, like, that puck wasn't sitting perfect. He's like, I'm just going to one-time it in the general direction of the net. Obviously aware of the clock. Perfetti getting his stick on it. Perfect tip. Like, just the absolute sequence of unlikely events that had to happen to lead up to that goal for it to culminate with 1.6 seconds left is insanity.
This is how you know there's some of the best players on the planet, because when it's the highest stress, loudest environment, their instincts take over and they still produce plays that are just otherworldly like that. It truly was something special and something crazy to witness.
For Connor Hellebuyck, again, to come into the game and, he lets in those 2 in the first. It wasn't looking good. The net was empty with a good amount of time on the board. They score, Nemestikov and then Perfetti to tie it. The scenes, like Winnipeg going absolutely insane, the nuttiest that city has ever been. You'd think there's a plane, even though they don't even have an airport around. And then everyone takes a beat and goes, oh, Hellebuck's coming back in net for overtime. I wonder how this is going to end. And I got to tell you, Binnington was big game Binnington at the other end. I don't think he did anything other than continue to be stellar since the Four Nations final. But Hellebuyck made the saves he needed to. He was locked in. And it's crazy that we're talking about Connor Hellebuyck like he's Calvin Pickard or, rusty Alex Lyon.
Kind of looked like him a little bit.
Statistically worse so far in the playoffs, but kept him alive, made some big saves. Were they all completely clean? No, but there were, opportunities with like quite a bit of open space for Blues players. I think Kyrou had a slapper from the right side on a break and kept Winnipeg alive despite some really stupid moments defensively. And then Lowry ends up getting the tip on a Pionk shot. And
Neil Pionk, who played roughly 3.5 hours that game, because Josh Morrissey went out 2 minutes into the game.
Evan Lobsinger just died hearing a defenseman play that much.
I think he literally played over 45 minutes that game.
Yeah.
And you've seen those stats from Seth Jones and Victor Hedman, but Neil Pionk played 45 minutes of a game 7, had 2 or 3 points, and they won the game.
He earned about half of his new extension just in that game alone.
And they also did not have Mark Scheifele for that game, which makes it even more impressive.
Morrissey left the game. It was Winnipeg won against all odds. They scored. That smoothie goes in the air right away when they score the goal. Just
you would be the one to notice that.
Immediately, I was like, is that a smoothie? And I was like, what? I was like, nothing. 1 second. I got to go look something up. Look, Winnipeg is probably the least favorite team now in the second round against Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
But what an unbelievable comeback. Look, I know St. Louis, to see 1.6 seconds on the clock away from winning and moving on and upsetting the top team in the NHL, I want to throw up just thinking about that. But we said coming in, St. Louis was one of the hottest teams in the league, and don't discount them from giving Winnipeg a hard time. And that's about as much of a hard time as you could have given the President's Trophy winners without actually beating them.
That's as close as it gets, right? That is as close to breaking as you get. And I'm sure St. Louis players and fans feel terrible after that game, but they gave the Winnipeg Jets every issue they could have had and made them answer every single question. And still a lot remain unanswered going into the second round. So St. Louis should hold their head high. They've got lots to build on, and they should be incredibly proud of how deep they were able to take that series.
How many teams do you think were trying to trade for Jordan Binnington who are now regretting not doing so?
Edmonton, maybe Winnipeg.
Yeah. That was the best end to the first round that you could have asked for as a hockey fan. And
that may have been the craziest first round. And I probably said this last year too, but that was maybe one of the craziest first rounds I've seen in a long time. There was literally everything. There was insane plays, insane games, just people trying to kill each other. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah, Brick killed a guy. Where'd you get a hand grenade? And then we get to go to the second round and are rewarded with, and you know what? I was so pissed off after the draft lottery for a good bit there. I actually forgot there was a game happening after. Toronto, Florida. Toronto ends up winning 5-4.
Did anything happen?
Not enough. I think more should happen next game. So they win 5-4, Toronto over Florida. They get a flurry of goals. They hold off the Panthers from coming back at the end. And that's not the story, though. The story was Stolarz leaves the game on a stretcher for Toronto, was concussed, puking in a bucket between whistles at some point. And there's
spotters were way up in the top row because the golds and the platinum seats are reserved for suit and ties and red wine drinkers.
Yeah, sorry, the NHL Spotters Association doesn't have the corporate seats, so they have to sit in the parking lot and just FaceTime.
Do you want the salary cap to go up or not?
And the big focus is on, you guessed it, Sam Bennett does a very kind of slow flyby of the net, makes contact with Stolarz' head with his forearm/elbow. It's a weird play. It looks like it's in slow motion, definitely catches him in the head. And I mean, it should have been a penalty. And then now there's this whole online debate, which I can't tell you how thankful I am to be watching this as a neutral fan, as to whether it was the two pucks that hit Stolarz in the mask prior, I think it was, knocked his helmet off, had to like shake it off, obviously, dazed him, or whether it was the Bennett hit to the head or a combination of those things or whatever it was. The NHL Department of Player Safety determined that there wasn't enough on the Bennett play to give him supplemental discipline. Toronto is very obviously incensed, and I feel like that guy in that Survivor gif where the two people in front of him are horrified and I'm just grinning like the Cheshire Cat behind because this is going to be hilarious. I don't know if you guys have an opinion on the Bennett thing and what is going to happen.
I was curious what your guys' opinion on it was, so please enlighten me.
I think, it's not going to be popular maybe. Look, Bennett knew what he was doing. 100% Bennett knew what he was doing. I don't know, and I know concussions can happen in ways that don't look like they can happen, but I just can't say for sure that play alone is what's causing a concussion to the point where the guy is throwing up and leaving on a stretcher. I don't know. I've seen a lot of pucks hit a goalie's mask and they don't leave concussed, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not concussed, So I'm of the mind that the refs missed a penalty on a play on Bennett. And I'm also of the mind that you can't look at that video and concretely say that Bennett is the reason that happened. And so this is kind of like the unfortunate situation where I think the Department of Player Safety made the right call. Maybe you fine the guy, but who cares? And Toronto just has to go out and run him next game. Like I can't say for sure that that's what caused the concussion.
No, second impact syndrome is a very real thing, and seeing how serious Stolarz' symptoms are, that's my guess as to what happened. Is the puck that got him to the mask got him pretty good, probably concussed him a little bit. Bennett coming through probably added to the already fragile brain at that point and led to the severity of his symptoms. And it's obviously, you feel horrible for Stolarz because that's a scary, scary situation to be in. And Sam Bennett 1000% knew what he was doing. That was a classic. I'm just going to scooch by you here, but I'm not going to attempt to get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
But the debate seems to be, did he mean to do it or did he not mean to do it? He obviously meant to do it. But I think the part of the debate over suspension or fine or whatever has kind of not really talked about force. Like, he didn't extend his arm. He didn't drop his shoulder. He didn't, propel an elbow or a shoulder into Stolarz' head. And like, calling a spade, he didn't hit him that hard. Like, this is why I believe it's second impact, because I don't think either one of those instances was enough to really, truly give Stolarz that level of concussion. I think it's a combination of the first one gave him one and the second one just amplified it. And I don't think it's a suspension because, again, the force just wasn't there. Was it a dirty rat move? Of course it was. That's what he does. Like, he knew what he was doing, but had Stolarz not already been slightly shaken up, I don't think we're even talking about this play. It's 2 minutes for goalie interference. That's it. That's the call. Obviously, you feel awful for Stolarz, and we hope he gets better fast. But like, in reality, that's a play that happens a half dozen times a week in the NHL.
And I will say, despite this opinion, Leafs fans are right to be livid about this. Here's the thing. You look at it also after the game, too. Tkachuk trying to knee Mitch Marner, who jumps out of the way and then immediately goes and just gives him a cross-check to the numbers. We've talked about it. The Florida Panthers win, and so the NHL lets them get away with a lot. Also, the Florida Panthers do this a ton. Like, all they do is they barrage the referees with a million of these plays that should be penalized, but the refs aren't going to penalize them a million times, and they move the window. They move what the line is for the Florida Panthers. We know this. The NHL knows this. The Eastern Conference especially knows this. The teams who have played Florida know this. And so you look at that and you're like, it is infuriating if I'm a fan of this team that's playing Florida to watch, end of the game, and now I have to worry about Tkachuk trying to go knee on Mitch Marner, and it just goes unnoticed, right? I'm going to mimic one of my heroes here, Evan. If you're the Maple Leafs, you're winning 1-0. You have two strategies. One, go out and beat them again the same way you did. Score 5 goals. Try not to do the 4 goals against part, but again, it's the Leafs, so help what you can. Or you go run someone. You run someone in the dirtiest way possible. What do you care about escalating the series? You know they're going to do that to you. Your talent over them, your advantage over them is your talent, is your skill, is your Marner, your Matthews, your Nylander, whatever. And they're going to try to throw you off your game. You're that pissed off about Bennett? Run him. Run him.
Oh, Bennett knows what the score is, and he is absolutely not going to take the bait.
No, but you remember when Zach Kassian...
No, I know. I'm getting to that point.
Okay, yeah, you tell that ragdoll story.
I'm not going to tell that story specifically, but Bennett's not going to step up. The Leafs are probably going to try to engage, but this is the hockey meathead mentality. I'm not saying they should dress Ryan Reeves for the game, but I'm saying they should consider it.
That is a massive statement coming from
Bradley
Jebediah Crisco.
I want entertainment here. I want to see what happens. But nobody would step up to Reeves, so I wouldn't. What has to happen to send a message? You call it Steven Lorentz. First chance he gets, a puck anywhere near the crease, he's running right through Bobrovsky's chest. You're going to run our goalie? Deal. We'll make that trade. And you do something very similar right back to him. Is it dirty? Is it a rat move? Absolutely. Should stuff like this happen in hockey consistently? Absolutely not, because it's stupid. Is that what should happen in this specific scenario? Absolutely it is.
I think the game plan for the Leafs is not to change much of what they're doing. They won game 1. I thought they were by far the better team, and they got the results. So the core guys who you lean on to win you games change absolutely nothing. Those the role guys down the lineup who are trying to find ways to help their team win, this is where you do your homework and you are ready for the game, because the Florida Panthers have just opened the door and invited you into the Royal Rumble, and this is how you find ways to help your team get through the second round. So if there's no answer from the bottom 6 in the Leafs, then that's a problem. But I think the top guys need to just don't focus on the noise, stick to what they know what to do, and the Leafs will be okay.
The Leafs have a recipe here to really benefit them this series, and it's what Evan laid out. If Florida's going to run around like a bunch of idiots, you are going to get power plays. Not as many as you probably deserve, because when you commit 30 infractions a game, the refs aren't going to call them, and Ryan's right about that. But you're going to get some. So if the bottom 6 can throw the Panthers off, piss them off, really get them running around, and give the Leafs a bunch of power plays, and then you send out Matthews, Marner, Nylander to do their thing, that's not the worst outcome here for the Leafs.
The referees have to be better too. Honestly, the cross-checking call that they had on Max Domi on Brad Marchand was the most phantom call I've ever seen. Like, the NHL needs to be giving a stern message to the referees that, like, you guys got to be ready for everything and anything. And, like, you can't, it's a bad look when Matthew Tkachuk is taking a run at Mitch Marner at the end of the game. Like, there has to be all eyes ready for anything during these games.
Cool. My putting has to be better too. It's going to be
I know.
a crapshoot whether that happens in a game.
But these are supposed to be, they've trimmed the fat of the NHL refs to this point, right? Like, these are supposed to be some of the best they have, which I know that's not asking or telling you a lot, but there has to be more firm messaging coming across.
I don't think I'm right particularly a lot, but it is funny that I have like the least reasonable, most like foaming at the mouth rabid take of the three of us. And the story I was referencing was
I advocated for them just straight up running the goalie.
Yes. Kassian and Tkachuk went back at it when Tkachuk was still on the Flames, and Tkachuk laid a hit on Kassian. They were just going at it the entire time. And Kassian went after him and threw a punch, and Tkachuk tried to do that thing where he tried to disengage. He was literally trying to skate away, and Kassian, like a much bigger, older brother, grabbed him and just started beat downs on him, whipped him to the ground, throwing punches. He was down, throwing punches. The rest were trying to pull him up, lifted him up, threw him down again, throwing punches. And I know it's asking a lot. Like, Mitch Marner is not going to do that to Sam Bennett, to say the least.
If he does, oh my God.
$17 million.
Max deal.
But, I don't know. Toronto has two lanes here, and I think the more sensible one is the one that got them the win. But now, let's see what happens with goaltending. They have to either be so confident that this physical game isn't going to throw them off their mental, which you don't have the confidence in if you're a Leafs fan. It's not going to be dull.
I really want to see them dress Reeves for that exact Tkachuk Kassian scenario you laid out, where Reeves just goes up to Bennett. Hey, we're going. Bennett goes, no, we're not. Reeves just grabs him. Wasn't a question.
You'd have to catch him first. If you want to know.
That'd be even funnier watching him chase him around the ice.
Chase would be a word. It's a very, you watch John Scott when he played, and people are like, oh. You're like, yeah, he was big and tough.
Yeah.
Skating wasn't the strong suit. That series off to a hell of a start. Last night, Carolina beats Washington 2-1 in overtime, just outshot them by $1 billion that game, it felt like, and they get one through in OT past Logan Thompson. Edmonton gives up 2 to start the game, both off Mark Stone, and then I wake up today, watch the game recap, 4-2 Edmonton. They win that game. Edmonton goes up 1-0 in the series. Both of those series, the road team takes the lead. And then tonight is game 2, Florida-Toronto, and then Dallas-Winnipeg, game 1. So all you can hope for is 4 more game 7s. Other NHL news very briefly. David Carle takes his name out of the running for the time being for NHL head coaching positions, which a lot of teams are going to be upset about. He has an extension in Denver, a multi-year extension. So as far as it goes right now, he is not going anywhere. He is comfortable. He is probably getting a nice bag from the NCAA salary in Denver and continues to have a successful program rather than jump into the circus of NHL coaching rings. So,
hey, I don't blame him. He's got a good thing going there. And if you look at the vacancies in the NHL, none of those are particularly attractive.
If this was the NFL and you had a lot more leeway and, 5 years compared to, 2.3 right now is the average, why would you leave? Sullivan's contract in New York is rumored to be like bigger than Babcock levels, like approaching $7 million for,
That's absurd.
And it's 5 years and guaranteed he's banking on by year 3.
It's not like coaches impact the game like they do in the NFL, where it's like a chess match. Like, the best NHL coaches just motivate and can communicate with their players. Like, I don't think you need to be a rocket Scientologist to be an NHL coach.
Like, I always circle back to what Newsy said when we had him on. Every team's basically running the same system. It's just who can execute it the best.
My opinion has changed on this quite a bit. I think the coaching carousel is too short, and so I don't mind seeing the higher contracts just to see things stick out a little bit more. But that's for a different day. All right, there's actually plenty more to talk about here, but for now, we are going to take a quick break, and when we're back, the final segment here on the Winged Wheel Podcast, back after this.
We're going to overtime.
Overtime is brought to you by our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast if you want to support the show. The bonus episodes, the giveaways, the Discord, all of that and lots more, and you allow us to do everything that we're able to do, including setting up on a new studio. Last overtime in the studio. Brad's about done with these chairs, and so I don't know that the emotions are here quite yet. All right, let's start with a question here from Upernadian. Our good friend says, what's the truth on rumors flying around about Jonathan Toews making a comeback, potentially with the Wings? What a concept. Cheers, boys.
I heard about the comeback. The Wings?
It's a popular, spot because the Wings need potentially center help down the lineup and the Patrick Kane connection, and it'd be a short, cheap contract. Here's the thing. I don't hate it in theory if he is able to still play hockey. Maybe my concerns are a little bit alleviated after seeing Patrick Kane's come back and after seeing Gabe Landeskog come back and play effective hockey. But he would have to be playing effective hockey, and I don't know that there's evidence of that yet. If there is, yeah, short-term contract, I don't care.
Yeah, like give him a 1-by-1 fourth-line center. Can't be worse. Like, why not? And if for nothing else, just the thought of a Blackhawks fan watching a Red Wings game and seeing Taves and Kane run around in a Red Wings jersey alone makes it worthwhile for me.
Agreed.
Every milestone that's hit by Patrick Kane in a Red Wings jersey is just pure sadistic joy. There's also Tom Wilson stole, who was it, Aho's mouth guard in game 1 last night.
Johan Franzen.
Immediately, I thought of Johan Franzen tearing out Patrick Kane's mouth guard. The Red Wings fans hated on Patrick Kane for years. Was on the top of a lot of people's most hated players list was like Sidney Crosby and Corey Perry and others. And we are reveling in every single second where we can pretend that never happened because it's hysterical to see Blackhawks fans see about that. Yeah, it just depends on Taves. I have my doubts, but I mean, because he was falling off even before he left, right?
Yeah, but how much of that was long COVID related or versus age related?
It's all a question. Jack's dad says, if we knew then what we knew now, would you have given both Ghost and Perron the contracts they wanted?
If
Gostisbehere, absolutely.
Yeah, 1,000%, no question.
Perron,
probably still yes.
Yeah, I mean, even just take into the context how much we know about the salary cap now, right?
Yeah.
Is it still going to potentially age bad? Have Sens fans hated that contract at different points and loved it at others? Absolutely. But yeah, knowing now how the season went, I want that voice back in the room. I still remember when Bertuzzi was still on the Red Wings and he was having one of those games where he, got injured in a stupid way again. It was just, talking and yapping, and Perron was on the bench and just looked over at him. I was sitting 10 rows behind him and went, shut up. He got order on the bench, was like, shut the hell up. Everyone out here isn't playing the same game. He was telling him, you have to get off the ice. We're all trying to play our shifts because Bert was just staying out there. He's a leader and he's loud and he's abrasive, but he's effective. You need that in the NHL. Flying Octopus says the NHL should implement a new rule. If a team drops 10 spots in the draft lottery over a 10-year span, that team automatically gets the first overall pick. This would guarantee Detroit never drops another spot in the draft lottery again.
Yeah, we're at 9. Don't tempt it.
Especially next year.
Cletus says, Griffins are looking down the barrel after another terrible performance in Game 2. The only two guys on the ice who seemed to care happened to be Watson and Shine. The young players were mostly invisible, and it felt like watching the Lalone version of Grand Rapids dump and chase, except the only thing being chased was a Texas forward back the other way through neutral ice. It's a tough look to start for Grand Rapids, who goes 2-0 down in a best-of-5 series. It's not been inspiring performances either. I think Cletus was quite light there as well.
Jack Campbell got the start. Do with that information what you will. MBN got a goal and an assist, though.
Yeah, I mean...
So that's something.
Something. Not really worth much, but it's the thinnest of silver lines, sure. There's going to be a lot of uncomfortable conversation, warranted or not, if Grand Rapids isn't at least able to make some kind of an impact this series. Best James Bond says, who do you trade 13th to sneak into the top 5? Trade it for an NHL player, maybe? Let's trade it to get the rights to Marner contract negotiations. They were kidding with that one. We're going to talk about it in future episodes. I'm very, very open to trading this pick in literally any direction for a ready now player. We'll overpay to get into the top whatever picks. Trade back. I'm very open to all of it. Not that 13th isn't valuable, but the Red Wings have a lot of value already, and I would like to see them try to find a way to parlay this into something else.
I agree with your sentiment fully, except for the trade back. Not this draft, and the Red Wings already have volume. They need more quality than volume.
That's fair. Ryan Hanna's chin-strapped headband says Red Wings have fallen a combined 9 spots at past 9 drafts, giving them a lottery luck rating of -9. Would you guys consider looking to trade the pick as part of a package to get an NHLer to help sooner rather than later? So zeroing in on that point, with the Red Wings constructed as they are now, and Larkin's window being now, and DeBrincat's window being now, do you try to get that one piece to shore up getting into that, Montreal or Ottawa spot now?
No is my initial reaction. Again, if Boston's like, we'll trade you Pasternak, but 13th has to be the center of it, absolutely. Am I trading that for Travis Konechny? I'd consider it, but that's kind of where you're on the fence, because how many good years does he has left? Can the Red Wings even realistically build something to win in the next 3 to 4 years? I still think the play is you take the Seider, Edvinsson, Kasper, aged core, and you're building around that. That's your golden goose right now. Yes, that doesn't mean Larkin and DeBrincat can't be a part of it. Every team has veterans who lead the younger core. That could absolutely be their role, but I think it's probably safe to say they won't be in their prime by the time you get to that point. But I still think that's the more likely path to success.
All right, for the sake of time here, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast, the last one ever in this studio. We're going to start the transition to our new one now. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. Thank you to the sponsors of the Winged Wheel Podcast, and thank you to all of our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast if you want to support us. And if you want to help us out, but Patreon's not for you, just subscribing wherever you get your podcasts. YouTube, we want to see that subscriber count go up. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you tune into the show. Leave a rating, a thumbs up, a review, tell a friend about the show. All of that really does help. To our name level supporters on Patreon, we could not do this without you. Arjun Shankar, Jennifer Morris, thank you again so much. Yves Bartels on behalf of the Sarah Grand Foundation, THL Champ, Samuel Soderholm, Icon, Glenn Brabham, Sea Lion, Matthew M. Rice, Adam Rose, Adam Suiza, Admiral Matt S., The Cheesebag Navy, Alex Toger, Anna Sleeman, Asher Killian, Beer League Legend, Best James Bond, Bingo Bango, Carl, Lieutenant Nanaluski, CB55, Citizen High Five, Clip Clop Nene, Connor Scovey, Craig Kibble, Denny's Gamer Girl, Derek Enstam, DJ Denton, Eric Hill, Give Blood Fight Probert, Grand Rapids Girly, Griffin God Creatives, Hatrick Sandine Pelika, Hockeytown Love, Hockeytown Matt, Hassam Mokasem, Jay Gollum, Jacob Turner, James McLean, aka Jambo, Jeff Pridemore, John Ingalls, Jonathan Miller, Kalen Wood, Mark Hernandez, Matt Keeler, Matt McKay, Marty, Michael Edlund, Mr. Kuzi, Now I Have to Learn How to Click on a Macintosh, Podgy713, RA, Richard Perkins, Roy Donk, Sam Bankson, Slim Smitty Cards, Stephen Ortlieb, That's What I Appreciate About You, Tiger McDougal, Wallman's Elite Dancing D, Wings Fan in Chicago, Eyes Are Playing Stan, Aaron Hudson, Generally Bohan of the Cheesebag Army, AA Ron, Ads Off the Jerseys, Ads Off the Helmets, Ads Off the Ice, Capitalism as Buns, Marx Was Right, All Motor No Hands, Ann Stanislavski, Antonio Gracias, Bellingham Massiballs, Bex, C.E. Hayes, Chris Felinski, Clay Adams, Commander Ben Barron of the Cheesebag Space Force, Connor Leighton, Corey Pruda, Darren Fick, Drop the Puck, Dylan Larkin, Trade Sacrifice, Eric Nance, Evan Beckner, Evans Brown, Pomeranian, Gene Sullivan, Gretzky, Griffey Boy, Hockey Fan, Joey Jojo Shabadoo, James Pridemore, Johnny Page, Jeremiah Dobo, Jim J.M. Rhapsody, Josh Yelton, Just Your Typical Champagne and Oyster Party, Kevin McCracken, Quaz, Linda Hull, Lonnie Zone, Lucas Raitmond, Matt Keeler, Mitch Minier, Ophelia, As Good As It Gets, Hissin' Away, Roy Mudbutt, Ryan M, Sandy P, Right Hand D, Steven, That Other Guy, The Hodag, The Hat 123, Trent Thorough, our good friend, Wings Fan in St. Louis, Scott, and your second favorite patron. Thank you all so very much. See you in the new studio.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to visit wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you'll find links to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find ways to support the show, like Patreon, official podcast merchandise, and more. And don't forget to follow us on X at Winged Wheel Pod, at Ryan Hanna, WWP, at Brad Crisco, and at Hockeytown Evan, as well as Winged Wheel Podcast on Instagram.